You see that highlight reel all the time out there on the internet, but man, she struggled just like you and me. And the gal just got up every single day for her kids, for her vision, for her tribe. And now she's free. And a gal who's almost earned like $1.4 million in commissions just from this little house called Molly System Pro on the side, by the way, just for fun. Let us bring out our dear friend L7.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to be here. And hello, everybody. It's a Monday morning. It's kind of a weird Monday morning. It's kind of a different Monday morning, but it is a Monday morning. And Monday morning means the beginning of the week. And it's time for us to set off on the course of getting our work done. And I kind of want to do a different call today. The topic or the title of the call, and I always love Baxter, our affiliate manager, reaches out and says, what's the topic of the call? And we send it over, and I always sit there and kind of think for a minute. And I sent over, there's a reason for everything. And I think right now for a lot of us, we don't really want to hear that right now. We just found out here in the States that our social distancing is, and by the way, you may be listening to this 3 years from now, looking back on this and go, oh, remember that? You may be listening to this 10 years from now, thinking, oh my gosh, I can't, that was crazy times. But right now in the moment, we're just finding out that we're going to be, having these policies and different things going on. I happen to live in Connecticut. They actually were considering quarantining our whole state. They haven't, and I live in a part of Connecticut that's a little further away from New York, but it's crazy times, without a doubt. But I kind of wanted to run you through my history, because every time I thought it was darkest, every time I thought it was the worst, something would happen, and I would think that thing was very, very, very bad. And over time, it was revealed why that thing happened. So I don't know why this is happening, guys. And a lot of people have a lot of opinions, and I quite frankly don't have an opinion because I'm busy. I'm busy. First of all, I've been under the weather. Some of my friends know, and I've just been not under weather with what's going on out there, but being extra careful because I don't want to expose myself while I have some upper respiratory symptoms. I don't want to go out. So I've been extra careful and been taking care of myself, resting more than normal. But I have a lot of work to do. I have things to say. Brian mentioned before we jumped on the call, they're creating, I'm creating. I have some new things that I'm working on. And so I want to run you through this. And I want you to really just kind of take this in. So 1999, I'm deep in credit card debt. I'm 270 pounds. I'm home with my kids. I had left my job because I wanted to be home with my kids, but we're in trouble. And I need to figure something out. And I have no idea that you're even allowed to have a home business. Trust me, I don't know what a home business is. I don't know what network marketing is. I was a teacher. I worked at a school. I worked at a college. And I was really, obese. And my then father-in-law bought me some products from my ex-husband's cousin. And I couldn't afford them, and he bought them for me, which is ironic because if I had bought them for myself, I don't think I would have been as committed to them as I was because somebody else wrote a check for me. And I lost some weight, which was great. And then I went out and I went to a meeting. And a lot of people know the story. You've heard it before. But I went to a meeting, and in that meeting, I saw network marketing. I saw the circles and the squares and the leverage. And I don't know what it was, but I got it. I understood it. Now, I didn't know how to execute it yet, but I got it. And so I went from the really bad things of being incredibly broke and incredibly fat. And I walked into one day, one moment, I said yes to something. I decided to try something. I said yes. I went to a meeting. I thought it was going to be about, not snacking at night. And it turned out to be this profession. Who knew? I certainly didn't. And I was able to do some things right away. And it brought some money into my household, which helped because it was the holidays. And there ain't a mama on the line, and daddy too, that doesn't, the holidays are a crunch and we want to do the best for our kids. And we want to give our kids nice stuff. I used to, when my kids were little, they didn't know the difference. I get them one or two nice things and I buy, and one of them is downstairs. She's going to hear me say this, but she probably knows by now. I go to the dollar store and buy a bunch of stuff and wrap it all up. So it looked like it was a big deal. But the truth was, it was a couple of major presents and everything else was just little tchotchkes because I didn't have the money. So that went on. And I went through, the journey of trying to learn how to network, which is a hard journey for me because people don't often believe it, but I am quite the introvert. So for me, going out and talking to people was incredibly challenging, which is why I was combing the then internet dial-up, you've got mail, internet, looking for solutions, just like many of you might have stayed up late at night looking for solutions and options. And I came across an article that talked about having people come to you. And I became obsessed with that. And I bought a course. And out of that course, I ended up learning how to create a little marketing system of my own, very similar to what we have, today, except today we have fancier tools. At My Lead System Pro, we have the funnelizer. We have the new hub pages. People are making, I saw one of my girls, Jenny, made a beautiful hub page yesterday. So we have all these incredible tools. We didn't have them back then. I had to hobble this thing together, but it was a very simple funnel, which was revolutionary at the time. And so this is good, and I'm doing good, and I'm doing a lot of volume, and all this stuff's going on. And I was getting some training from a guy named David Ledoux. Some of you old timers might know who that is. He was one of the top people at a major MLM. And he was like the very first person using video in his training. And the videos were like an inch by an inch. They were horrible, but I was very fascinated by the guy, and the guy I bought the course from had kind of disappeared. So one day I get his newsletter and he says, I'm canceling. I'm not doing this anymore. So now I'm without my original teacher that I was learning from afar from. I'm without this guy, Dave. My MLM has basically shunned me because I'm doing weird stuff. And my upline told me, listen, you can come and everything else, but if you talk about anything that you're doing, which I wasn't trying to, they weren't my downline, but I was basically told, bite your tongue, keep your mouth shut. We'll let you keep coming. Otherwise, I was kind of like alone, seriously alone. And when I was talking, I emailed this guy, Dave, and I know this isn't like my dramatic calls like usual, but I think the story is really important for you guys to get this. First thing that happened was super fat, super broke, went to a meeting, figured out how to make money, covered my holiday. Second thing that happened was petrified and scared of prospecting, crying in the mall bathroom, trolling the internet, bought a course, learned a skill, became quite successful. The third bad thing that happened is everybody started shunning me. The guy I like to learn from, he disappeared, stopped writing his newsletter. My mentor from afar, the next guy that I started to learn from, he shut down his newsletter. And my upline is basically giving me the riot act because at the time, this was so weird and so different. I was doing like 30,000 volume a month with my little system, and that was making them a lot of money, but they didn't want anybody else distracted. They didn't want, anybody else playing with the internet. They wanted them doing it their way. So this guy, David, I wrote him and I was like, oh, I'm super bummed and this and that. And I said, I noticed he recommended a trainer. He said, if you want training, go to this person. And I said, well, I noticed this person's going to be in Boston. I'm driving distance. I hadn't budgeted because I actually run my business with a budget. You guys would be surprised. I said, I hadn't budgeted for an event, but if you think it's worth going, I'll maneuver my expenses around. And he said to me, I don't know if it's worth going to see her, but I'll be in the back row dressed in black. Come see me and give me a hug if you come up. So I wanted to go meet this guy. Write that down, jot that down, by the way. Your contacts are the most valuable thing in the world. Your contacts. I wanted to make this contact. He just said to me, come to Boston, hang out with me and give me a hug. I was driving to Boston. That's something that people forget. And I know right now we're on kind of like, we're not able to get around, but you can make that come. Right now is a great time to make contacts with leaders via social media, simply because they can't get out either. There are no events. They're home. I'm home. Like people keep saying, do you have time? I'm like, I have all the time in the world. I'm home. I'm here. There's nowhere to go. I can't go anywhere. Can't get on a plane. Can't get on a boat. So I drive up to Boston. meet this guy, Dave. We have lunch. We have a great conversation. And we start talking about the original guy who wrote the course that I modeled my system after. And he said, I don't know where he is either. And we had this great kind of reminiscent conversation. He and I exchanged numbers. We became friends. And I went home and I sat down and I Googled the name of the original teacher I learned from. And lo and behold, he had just shown up and started writing articles that week. Okay, so I'm shunned. I'm all alone. I'm working this new kind of marketing model. I have no mentorship, nobody to teach me, nobody to help me. My upline doesn't want me to even talk about what I do. It's kind of funky in my household too, which is another story for another day. And here I am trying to figure this stuff out and take it to the next level. The original teacher shows up and I email him and I took a risk and I said, where the hell have you been? That was the title of my email. Where the hell have you been? And he wrote back, a lot of that was funny. And my phone number is always on my emails. I have a signature file, guys, with my phone number and my email and my contact information. Everybody's like, you put your phone number out there. The big bad boogeyman may come get you. Well, maybe he might, but somebody important might call. I actually run a business. So he called. And we had a great conversation, figured I'd never talk to him again. And then he turned around and he called me back 2 weeks later and he said, you fascinate me. Nobody's ever taken my work and created a system like you created. And we ended up talking a mile a minute. The next thing you know, I had a new mentor. I had a new teacher. And he ended up needing help with some software. I'm not technical, gang. You know, my nickname's a digital dingbat. But I figured out how to get this software done and got it installed for him. And at the time, he was working with Mike Dillard and all these big guys. A lot of their names you would know because they're more on the internet side. And I was like the little housewife, Girl Friday, helping out. But over time, I became pivotal in that organization. And that organization gave me the opportunity to speak 4 nights a week, to sharpen my saw, to hone my skills, to become a speaker in front of crowds. And then also I built the first, people don't realize this, I built the first attraction marketing system that connected to an autoresponder and had people's images, pictures, etc. before My Lead System Pro existed. We were the first ones. We were actually connecting them manually for people. So I ended up building this whole attraction marketing system thing. So I went from traveling to Boston thinking I had lost the last mentorship I had, to finding a teacher that I worked with for 6 years, to becoming primary in his business, to becoming extremely well known, and ending up on some of the biggest stages in the industry. So bad things turned into good things. Bad things turned into good things. Now here's where My Lead System Pro comes into the story. It's pretty powerful. My mentor had some health issues and basically just said, I'm done. All my money, everything's tied up in this organization. That's where I earn most of my income. I have a bunch of other like little residual checks from affiliate programs and stuff. But the bulk of my income, because I had finally just started making some real money, guys. I made money all along, but I'm talking real money, buying cars, cash type of stuff. It was pretty cool. And then he goes, I'm done. I'm out. So I'm like, okay, what the hell am I going to do? 3 o'clock in the morning, I shoot a letter to Brian Finale, Norbert Orlowitz, and I say, hey, you need me. I was cocky just like I was with Joe. And out of his leaving the industry, I ended up coming here. So I literally, I'm not going to lie, I sat and cried for hours and hours and hours when the whole thing fell apart. And I thought my business was over. My life was over. There was nowhere for me to go. There was nothing for me to do. I was, I had reached my peak. Everything was over. And then the doors opened and I ended up coming over here. And little by little, slowly by slowly, I climbed to the top of the leaderboards and have become the top earner over many years here. So all of this goes on. And every time I thought it was the worst, the best thing happened. Now, not to get too much into my personal life, but several years ago, my husband and I broke up and we got divorced. And I was pretty much a total wreck, very family person, total wreck. And everything's good now. But at the time, I couldn't get up. I literally couldn't get up. I kind of disappeared. I was just recycling content. I couldn't get up. it was one of the worst times of my life, if not the worst time of my life. And out of that, I ended up meeting a person who's completely changed my life, who's become a new mentor, a mentor of the mind, who's helped me not only get up, but get back, find my voice again, get back into production again. So out of the worst came something that is the best. And so here we are, sitting in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic. Here we are sitting in the middle of what for a lot of people is spiritually, emotionally, financially hurting us in ways that we can't even describe. I was somebody, I work from home. I don't go out very often. I go grocery shopping, but I do travel a lot. The idea that I can't go anywhere is making me crazy, even though I never used to go anywhere. All these different things, the what ifs, what's going to happen, all of these things are on my heart and mind as much as they are on yours. One of our friends started a huge group to help people. So it's been amazing. And I will say, and I'm going to wrap the call up, we'll move over to the fan page and chat for a little bit. Every single day, I spend time crying. Sorry, I'm an emotional girl. I'm not emotional like a wreck or anything like that, but I'm a spiritual person. I feel a lot. And every day I spend time crying. And I'm crying because I feel the sadness and the weight on so many people. But I'm also crying because I see the beauty of what's happening and people spending more time. My family, for the first time ever, Friday night, we haven't seen each other since we lost an aunt. And before that, we hadn't seen each other for years. We all got together on Zoom and had wine and hung out and laughed and giggled. And we're planning another night to get together and play games. My family's getting closer. My creativity is coming back out. I'm writing again like I haven't written in years. So what will come out of all of this? I don't know. But what I know is something is coming. And I really think it's up to you to decide how you want to approach. It's okay to let it out. It's okay to also see the beauty. It's okay to have days where you're not really sure what's going to happen. But then what you want to do is plug into this community hard and tight, because you have a place where everybody's working and moving in the same direction. You have a place where everybody is sharpening their saws, where everybody is honing their skills, where we have daily support for you. Daily, between these calls and the afternoon webinars and the evening webinars, we have daily support for you. You need to make a decision that you will make it through the other side stronger and more than you were when you entered. I didn't know when I started this journey 20 years ago that when something rough came along, that there was a reason for it. I didn't know. So I didn't know to look for it. Today, after all these years and all these situations in my life, I know to look for the rainbow. And I'm not being happy clappy because I call myself the optimistic realist, guys. The optimistic realist. I'm very optimistic, and like people who talk to me, that I almost get annoying because they're sitting there kind of going, they can't make any money. I'm like, no, it's right there. Like, there's money all around you. You just got to be able to see it. There's opportunity all around you. You just have to see it. There's people that can tilt your world sitting right next to you. You just have to realize there's somebody who could tilt your world. Say yes more often. But I'm real. I'm not making believe that people aren't hurting right now. And I'm not making believe that in 2 days you're going to learn how to make 6 figures on the internet. What I am saying is that everybody who's in the space needs the skills that we teach. Everybody that's in the space needs to get better at communicating. Everybody that's in the space has to learn how to write a little better, learn how to talk a little better, learn how to represent their product and share their story a little stronger. And this is the time for it. Because as much as we think, things are rough right now, there's also people sitting everywhere looking for what we have. And if you can learn to communicate in context and with compassion, you'll be stunned at how many people will want to work with you. So That's it. There is a reason for everything. We don't know the reason yet, but it will be revealed. And the question is, how are you going to attack this? How are you going to attack this challenge? How are you going to attack this problem? How are you going to come through the other side? That that's up to you. But what we can do is create an environment to support you through it. And that's what we have here. I'll meet you guys over at MLSP fan page, over on Facebook. We'll do a little live. We'll mix it up and chat a little bit, have some conversation. I'd love to hear your opinions, your thoughts. And that's it for this morning's call. Love you guys, and we will see you over on the fan page. Take care. Love you guys. I'll see you over there. And yes, I am sniffly and feeling kind of crummy, but I put on makeup today because, all right, trying to feel like a human being. I'll see you guys in a little bit.